Hi everyone, welcome to our episode She Builds Textiles North America. I'm your She Builds host. I'm Rajeshwari Maladi, Principal Solutions Architect in AWS based out of our New York City office. We are actually very thrilled to welcome Erin Lighton, whom we met at the AWS Women of the Cloud event that was held in New York City back in July. So that was a very fun event, and I think my most favorite part of the Women in the Cloud Summit was the opportunity to meet and network with several women technology leaders and allies, both internal and external, and also to learn from many different diverse perspectives. So, joining me today is my co host Pragya. Pragya, if you could introduce yourself and also share your experience at the summit.
Yeah, thank you, Raj. Hi, everyone. My name is Pragya. I am also a part of the She Builds Tech Skills North America core team. I lead a team of customer solutions managers, and I'm based out of Arlington, Virginia. Like Raj said, Raj and I had the pleasure of being at the Women of the Cloud Summit in New York in July, and it was such a pleasure to hear from all these different leaders on their story of driving inclusion and diversity and equity. I think my favorite part was hearing from everyone's diverse journeys. Not everybody came from tech. However, a lot of the challenges, opportunities were very similar. So for me, I thought that was a really cool learning experience from all the different leaders and speakers at the event. And I'm super excited that Erin, who we met there, is joining us back on our She Builds episode today. So, Erin, welcome to our show. And I'm super excited of what Erin is going to share with us on her journey and what has gotten you to Poker Power. Welcome.
Oh, thank you. Thank you both. I am thrilled to see you and so glad that we met back in July at the summit. I did not start out as a poker player, and I get asked that a lot is how long have you been playing poker? And I've been playing poker since the day I learned with Poker Power. My career actually in finance began in 1999 on Wall Street. And I always say that that's when pay was secret and pregnancy was hidden. And I experienced both of those things, and we can talk more about that. But that was really the impetus for my journey that is now nearly 25 years in the making of finding ways to empower and support and advance women plus in the workplace. And much of what I did was around equal pay, but it really has evolved from equal pay. That's one very critical element of equality, but it's also having opportunity, being in the room, taking your seat. And all of those things can be learned and practiced and delivered through learning how to play poker.
I love it. That's fascinating. See, when
That's
I,
awesome. That's awesome to hear.
yeah.
That's a very interesting and diverse professional path, Erin, that you have. You've been a leader in the financial industry, you have been a board member, you've been a tech talk speaker, and now at the Poker Power. So that's an amazing journey. Thanks for sharing that.
Sure. Yeah, I think, one of the things that was critical in the journey of coming to Poker Power, and I am now the president of the organization, so day in and day out running
Mhm.
the business, is building a startup during the pandemic. And that's really what happened with Poker Power is that we were founded originally to be a resource and opportunity for young women, primarily high school girls. And through the shutting down of the world, that enabled us to really have a perfect storm of pivoting to corporate as our clients. And so we had this very narrow window that you may all remember back in 2020 when all of our companies were trying to find a way for us to turn on our cameras, interact over the screen, and be together. It was a very awkward situation to actually interact across a screen. And the timing of Poker Power to build a virtual curriculum that then we could scale across America, but truly across the globe. We scaled to 40 countries very quickly. We were able to do that because of technology. We were able to create a virtual curriculum. We were able to go to a mass market through our corporate partners. and really lean into teaching women within the workforce how to think and strategize and negotiate and take risks like a winning poker player. And so from 2020 to fast forward to today, we continue to build out our virtual programming. We've also built an app, which we'll talk about more about. And we have now fortunately been able to go back to in real life. And so a large part of our business is delivering poker to women in the workplace, to universities, to high schools. We've been very successful at getting back to the origins of our mission, which is to have women plus across the globe playing poker.
I love it. I see Raj has the banner there as well for our audience if they wanted more information.
Yeah, we will actually pop up the banner in some time. Just wanted to like ensure that people take good takeaways from this talk. So Erin, thanks for sharing that. Like, I know poker, that when you say poker, the first thing that comes to me is like, playing like physically, right? Like, taking that to the virtual world and building app. I think that must have been quite a journey for you. So my question to you is, what does the concept of allyship mean to you, and how do you think leaders can encourage allyship?
Mm-hmm. I love this question. And I love talking about the journey of women in the workforce. And so I really see it as three parts. We have mentors. Mentors are incredibly important. Mentors talk to you. They give you advice. They help progress your career through being an advisor to you. And then we have sponsors. And sponsors are the ones who make sure that your name is being heard, that they are putting you into a room full of opportunities. They are talking about you. And then in between those and across those really is allyship. And allyship is ensuring that those who are marginalized, those who may not have a voice, those who are not in a position of influence and power get heard. And allyship, I think, of those three is one of, truly the most critical, because if you're not being heard, you're not being given an opportunity to share your skills and your talents and your expertise, it's very hard to benefit from having mentors and sponsors and advancing to go forward. I think when we talk about allyship, I always give an example, which I think is really, really relatable to women and to many others as well. But the example is you're in a meeting and you are speaking, you are making a point. You might even have, the butterflies in your stomach because, you're trying to say something really of expertise and that you want to have heard, and you get interrupted. And you typically get interrupted by a man. And when that happens, what the ally needs to do, and the ally is sitting across from you, they're sitting beside you, they are going to go back and say, "Excuse me, Erin was making her point. Erin, would you finish, please? We want to hear what you had to say." It's literally 10 seconds of interruption by your ally. But in doing so repetitively, because often it takes more than one time, you start to get heard. And it also calls out that microaggression that is happening in that meeting. And that's really what it is. When you are overtalked, when you are interrupted, when your ideas are taken from you and attributed to someone else, all of those are microaggressions in the workplace. And all of those is where an ally can step in and very effectively shift what is happening in real time. Once you start having enough allies doing enough of what I just described, it starts to get institutionalized. It becomes systematic, and it becomes an outlier who's going to actually interrupt a woman in a meeting anymore, or it becomes an outlier who is going to take your idea and then claim it as their own. So I think those are two really common things that happen to many women in the workplace that can be resolved and made better through allyship.
Now that really resonates, and thank you for breaking it down in a way that's, you see it happening rather than this nebulous idea of microaggression or male allyship. We are in the tech industry and we have our work to do, definitely to bridge that gap. So that is super helpful tips there. A question I have for you, Erin, you have through your career and now as a leader at Poker Power stood for inclusion and driving diversity and equity. What do you continue to see are challenges that women still face, or other minorities as well, in the workplace, and specifically maybe in tech where we have some work to do? and what do you recommend in terms of solutions, things that we should do differently to bypass those challenges?
Yeah, I boil it, and there are many challenges, and there are many
Yeah.
challenges for many people in the workplace. But if we're
Yes.
speaking specifically about women, one of the things I have seen throughout my career
Mm,
is the challenges of access and opportunity.
mm,
So access is first, and it does go back to that allyship and having the mentors and the sponsors. If you are not being invited into the room, like literally being invited to take your seat,
mm,
you don't have access to the opportunities, which is the second piece. So hand in hand, you need to be given a pathway of success within your organization. And I always say that success for many of us is not the C-suite. That's actually not what we're striving for. Success
yes.
can be to be the very best at what you do. It can be the leader of your group. It can be, a bigger job than that, but defining what your success is and then figuring out what are my access points to
Mm,
get to the opportunities. Access points almost always involve other people. So
yeah.
other people have to believe in you. They have to want to promote you. They
Mm,
have to talk about you. That is systematic and institutional. So companies that have pathways of creating success for all of their employees are the ones
mm,
that are really leading the way in ID&E. And I think that once you have the access, then you start having the ability to have opportunity. And opportunity is where everything becomes possible.
yeah.
One of the things that when I look back on my career, I have had some really key stakeholders in me. They
Mm,
truly believed in me,
mm,
and they asked me to do things I didn't think I knew how to do or I
mm,
was ready to do. I have this motto in life that has evolved, and it truly is to say yes to everything,
yeah.
especially the things I don't know how to do. And when you combine the courage and the confidence to say yes, and
Yeah.
then you put that with people who are opening the opportunities for you and giving you the access, that's the perfect scenario for reaching success.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. Yeah. I think it's
Those
also,
real allies, like who are able to like.
I think we lost Raj.
I think yeah, she might be having some technical issues. But what you said, it's really a roadmap because you do have your responsibility as a person to say, this is my goal, this is where I'd like to go, this is what
Yep.
success looks like for me.
Sorry.
And then as your leader, as your ally, I create that access for you. Go ahead, Raj. Oh,
But
I
I
think we
was
have.
just saying the same thing, that having that allies who can support you is really, really crucial, I think. So, Erin, one question I have for you is, for some of our viewers who may not play poker, like, and then for them to then use that experience to.
Yes. So 95% of our community has never played poker. And that's intentional. We are the beginning of a woman's journey in poker. And when I say poker, what I really truly do mean is it's not about getting you into the casino. I don't care if you ever walk into a casino and play in a poker room, but I care a lot that you can think and strategize, negotiate, and take risk like a winning poker player. And in order to do so, you have to have repetitive experiences playing the game. And that's
Mm,
really what we've built with our curriculum is once a week, come and learn with us an hour out of your day once a week, and you will start to build and stack these skills of
mm,
winning as a poker player. Why this is so important is that so many of the lessons that get honed at a poker table
mm,
directly transcend and translate to the real world, and
mm,
especially to the workplace. So, for an example, I always speak about negotiation. The women in negotiation, that is a really common topic. There's a lot of dialogue around women and how well or how poor or how often or not at all we
yeah.
negotiate. That doesn't really matter. What matters is that wherever you are today, you get better at it. And it's only through practicing that we get better at anything. So when you play poker, and for those of you who don't play, it's a matching game. At its core, it's a matching game. So you have 2 cards that no one sees, and all the other players at the table also have 2 cards, and that's called your hole cards. In the middle of the table are your community cards, and those are the cards that get shared by everybody. And what you're attempting to do is match your 2 cards to what comes out in the middle and have the highest ranking hand. And that can be anything from just a high card, like an ace high, all the way to a royal flush, which is what we always see in the movies, but is not reality. Hardly anybody ever gets the royal
Open your cards.
Right. So every round you play in poker is a negotiation. And what I mean by that is that you have to set a price and see who's going to meet it. Or the other players are setting the price. And the price, the way that we don't play for real money. It's the number of chips that go into the middle. So you take chips from your stack and you put them into the middle so they're in play. Every round of betting is a negotiation. What's great with poker and how it can hone that skill for you in real life is that poker is a game of imperfect information. So I don't know what you have. And you don't know what I have. And I have to observe your behavior at the table. I have to observe your betting patterns at the table. I have to observe how large is your chip stack? How powerful are you at the table? And where do you sit? Because different seats at a poker table are positions of strength or positions of weakness. So those are just some of the most basic factors that happen in every single hand of poker. And they're variables that are constantly changing. Like poker is not a static game. So if you think about this, the very first question you ask yourself when you play poker is, what do I have? And what you're asking is, how strong is my hand? How much value am I holding in my hand? The second question you ask is, what do I have? And what do I think you have? So now you're trying to shift your perspective and trying to see this game from your opponent's perspective. The third question, and the most important question, is, what do I have? What do you have? And what do I think you think I have?
Yeah, I have,
And that's where the complexity of poker is. But what I just described, that is a negotiation. You are trying to take not just what you're bringing to the table, but matching it, exceeding it with what someone else is bringing to the table and trying to win that hand. And poker is a zero-sum game. Someone's going to win, everybody else is going to lose. And that competitiveness at a poker table, I think, is always really, really critical for women to get comfortable with. Work is competitive. We may not want to think of it that way, but I am competing against you and you and you, and I need to get practice being outside of my comfort zone with that competition if that's not something that I've grown up doing on a regular way. Again, a poker game is a really great way to start to practice that.
I love that. I will admit, I'm not a very serious poker player. I might start now because it does shift your perspective. It is more than the game, as you said, get you into the casino. It's a different way of thinking. It's being comfortable with a little bit of ambiguity and thinking outside the box. So I love it. I'm definitely going to look into this, Erin. You've piqued my interest.
Yay.
Yeah, same here. Me as well.
As we get too close to wrapping our session, Erin, a question that we love to ask our leaders, our female leaders that come to our show, is something that they would tell their younger self. Everything that you've accomplished, you're obviously a champion for inclusion and diversity and equity. What is a message you would give your younger self?
Yeah. This is a lesson that took me a long time to learn, and I've actually learned it better once I had my own team and was leading a team. And the reason I say that is I had to learn that when you hear no, it doesn't mean never. It just means not right now. Because I think my younger self, when I would ask for something, let's just say I asked for a raise and the answer was no, I took that incredibly personally. I took that as I have failed. It was really hard for me to get back, on the horse the next day and keep going because it felt like I really was not meeting my own expectations. But particularly in today's climate, we have a lot of economic uncertainty. We have, a lot of workplace uncertainty because of that. Things are constantly shifting around us. And sometimes when your manager and your boss says no, it truly doesn't mean not ever. It just means not today. And if you can
Mm-hmm.
stop taking that as a personal critique of you and start to think of it, okay, that's an opportunity to ask questions. I'm going to ask, well, what do I have to do differently? What do I have to do more of? What do I have to do less of? What do I have to do to come back in 6 months and ask this
Right.
question again and get to yes? And those can be uncomfortable conversations. Like those again take practice, get better at doing, but start doing them. Start doing them when you're 25, not 45. Because by the time you're 45, it's going to be a whole lot easier. And I'm way past 45, but by the time you get along in your career, it's going to be you're going to be asking for bigger things, number one. And number two, you will have practiced receiving yeses and nos throughout your career.
That's a great message actually to our audience to know that it's okay to hear no, but just means it's not now but later. That's a great message. Thanks, Erin, for that. I will actually pop up this slide that you have. I know a lot of our audience have many questions. So if you want to talk through that, like in case they have to get in touch with you, what would they do?
Yes. So technology is really important at Poker Power. It is the only way that we can scale to reach our goal of 1 million women playing this game. So all of you who are viewers, you can actually click on the little QR code in the corner, and that will take you to the Poker Power Play app. The app is where your journey begins with us. And so you can do learning modules all on your own time. They're really fun. They're about 5 minutes each. So you can squeeze them into your day. And then you can start to play against the bots. And I think, what we have noticed is that the bot play in our
Mm-hmm.
app is the most popular part of the app because women tend to like to practice a lot before they show up in real life. And so women are in there playing against the bots and trying out their different gameplay strategies. Third, you can come to virtual class. So you can join us in a virtual class with live teachers and really start to hone your game. And then fourth, you can play in our daily game. So at Poker Power, again, there is no real money transacting, but we offer poker games for our community to play and interact and really build the community within the app.
That's really great to know. So I'm sure you're going to get a lot of calls after this for those that are interested. I'm pretty excited. Like, I want to go learn the poker game myself. So before we wrap up, Pragya, any parting words you want to say?
No, I just want to say thank you. Thank you again, Erin, for coming to our session today and sharing your message, your story. It is truly inspiring. And I hope more folks will say yes to poker because it's more than what it looks like.
Mhm.
And again, thank you so much for joining us. For our audience, I want to remind you, please don't forget to subscribe to our channel to stay up to date on our future sessions where we feature amazing leaders like Erin, who are champions for technology as well as inclusion and diversity. And with that, thank you so much again. And thanks, Raj, for co-hosting with me.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Thanks, Erin, again for joining. And thanks, everyone. We'll see you again next time in our next show. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.